Thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member Crapo, for holding the hearing today. And I'd like to welcome a Granite Stater who is with us today to testify about the impact of the Supreme Court's Wayfair decision on small business. John Hennessy is the CEO of Littleton Coin Company, which has been in Littleton, New Hampshire since 1945. Littleton Coin is a retailer of collective coins that sells into all 50 states. The company employs 275 people in the community and is 100% employee-owned through an employee stock ownership plan. John has been with the company for 15 years and, as we will see from his testimony, has seen firsthand the significant burdens that out-of-state governments have imposed on small businesses following the Wayfair decision. John, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I look forward to hearing from you today.
Chairman Wyden, Ranking Member Crapo, Senator Hassan, my home state senator, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about this matter of great importance to small businesses. Littleton Coin Company's mission is to bring the joy of coin collecting to as many Americans as possible. We serve collectors in all 50 states by mail order directly to their homes from our single physical location in New Hampshire. Prior to the Wayfair ruling, we had never been subject to collecting state and local sales taxes. The ruling immediately required us to become the tax collector for up to 12,000 different state and local jurisdictions with no way to calculate and collect the taxes from our customers, leaving us liable to pay the bill ourselves. We rushed to become compliant, incurring costs totaling $225,000 to purchase software, hire outside tax and legal experts, paid third-party software developers, devote our internal IT team to rewriting our computer systems. We became compliant to the best of our interpretation of each state's laws by January 1st of 2019. Even after getting up and running, we continue to spend $50,000 per year in third-party costs for software licensing, registration fees, tax filing, accounting services, and legal advice. On top of that, we spend hundreds of hours of our own finance, IT, and customer service time annually to remain in compliance. In addition, we're now subject to a laundry list of non-sales taxes in many states, including franchise, business, commercial activity, and business and occupation taxes. These taxes we pay out of our own pocket, totaling $40,000 per year. In total, we've paid over $500,000 in company funds since 2018 to comply with the taxation requirements imposed on us by states as a result of the Wayfair ruling. Regarding needed simplification, we've registered, regularly file, and pay tax to 45 states and owe tax to over 1,500 individual jurisdictions with individual tax rates. We sell over 10,000 different products, and each state has its own laws for product classification and exemptions. While we've purchased and customized a commercial software package to assist us, the sheer complexity is a risk to our business. Just last month, a routine software update caused an error taking us 100 hours to resolve and $5,000 of expense that we were unable to collect from customers and nonetheless owed to states. Despite tools like software, the volume of requirements, changes, and legal updates is overwhelming. Regarding needed protection from state reach beyond sales tax, just last month we experienced what we believe is the tip of the iceberg of states reaching beyond sales tax into an unlimited number of new taxes and fees. The state of California sent us notice demanding we pay income tax based on doing business in California, despite having no physical presence and federal law specifically protecting us from this liability. Despite our strong belief we have no legal obligation, we must now incur time and legal fees to defend ourselves. If we're forced to go to court, legal fees alone would likely exceed $100,000. Second example, another state announced a new 27-cent retail delivery fee on any remote retail sale delivered to a customer in its state. We must now rewrite our computer systems and understand a full new administrative process. Until we can divert resources to complete the work, we'll bear the burden of this tax at $5,000 a year. If the state's permitted to impose this fee, what other new fees and taxes could be coming from other states in the future? Regarding retroactive taxation, we've received notices demanding payment for periods as far back as 2018. Since we weren't able to collect tax from customers for these historical periods, we're forced to pay the bill ourselves. Whether we agree or not, the legal cost to defend against these demands simply exceeds the tax liability, and as a result, we've settled with 3 states totaling $140,000. Regarding state and local audits, going forward, we're subject to 45 separate annual state audits and countless county and local audits. Each one will take time to prepare documents and support our compliance. If there's a question as to whether we've interpreted law correctly, we'll have to pay significant legal costs to support our position. If we're unable to, we'll be forced to foot the bill ourselves. In conclusion, 4 years after the Wayfair ruling, the state and local tax landscape for remote sellers continues to be overly complex, expensive, and burdensome, and the future outlook is even more troubling. The Supreme Court left the door open for Congress to act, and we need Congress to level the playing field and help small businesses collect these taxes while continuing to operate and grow our businesses. We need your help, and I urge you to find a bipartisan solution to this issue as quickly as possible. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I look forward to responding to any questions you may have.
Senator Hassan, who has been doing a lot of very, very good work on this. Senator Hassan.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Chair. Look, just let me start with a comment, and then I have some questions for Mr. Hennessy. The Supreme Court's unfair internet sales tax decision, the Wayfair case, has imposed significant undue burdens on small businesses in New Hampshire and all across the country. In effect, the decision forced small businesses to become tax collectors for out-of-state governments. The Wayfair decision made small businesses responsible, legally and financially, for following complex tax rules imposed by thousands of state and local taxing jurisdictions. Congress must help small businesses by reversing the Supreme Court's misguided decision. In the meantime, we also need to focus on immediate ways to help the businesses hurt by this egregious legal decision. So I am very thankful that Mr. Hennessy is here today from New Hampshire to talk about the ways this decision has impacted his business. John, you've said that your business has paid $500,000 so far to comply with these tax obligations, and I'd like to talk to you about the specific factors driving that significant financial burden. So let's start with this. You mentioned that different states have different filing and registration processes, including different websites and different forms, with some even requiring you to maintain a physical address in the state, and all the while these rules frequently change with little notice. What is the cost imposed on Littleton Coin by this patchwork of filing requirements, both in terms of money and time?
The sheer volume to file taxes in 45 states on usually a monthly basis is quite overwhelming. That equates to over 500 tax returns per year, and the total cost of that is about $20,000 for our business. So what we would like to see for a solution would be one single registration that covers all states, as well as one annual return per state. That would really help us comply.
Understood. In your testimony, you mentioned that Littleton Coin has to collect tax for more than 1,500 tax jurisdictions with varying tax rates. What difficulties do you face in trying to collect sales taxes at all of these different tax rates?
Sure. So of the 12,000 potential jurisdictions we do collect in those 1,500, software helps with the rates themselves and updating them. However, for our business in particular, our customers still like to order from catalogs. Right. And that presents a unique burden for our business. With 12,000 rates, I actually brought a sample of what we would have to print did we have the capacity to disclose to our customers all 12,000 tax rates. And this would be 40 pages long in order to do so.
Wow.
So beyond that, many of our customers ordering from catalogs like to pay by check, which, as you could imagine, often causes under and overpayments accidentally from those customers and sometimes forgetting to pay tax at all. Because it's virtually impossible to go back and try to collect those small dollar amounts per transaction, we're on the hook to foot the bill ourselves. And finally, I'd say our customer service department based in New Hampshire trying to help our customers interpret all these various rules end up spending about 300 hours per year on the phone simply answering tax questions.
Wow, thank you. So far you've spent a total of $500,000 and countless staff hours to become compliant with these new obligations. Yet a major concern going forward is that Littleton Coin and other small businesses could nevertheless be hit with audit notices from 45 different states and countless local governments. What kinds of legal and other costs are you bracing for as you consider whether hundreds of tax jurisdictions may flood your business with audit notices?
So we have done our best to map our 10,000 unique products to the rules of the 45 states. And often the rules for exemptions for our product category are simply a couple lines that we must try to interpret ourselves. We fear we'll spend months preparing and discussing audits with any one state or jurisdiction, nonetheless with any that that come into our business. If we're wrong on any of our classifications, unfortunately, we can't go back and collect tax for those periods under audit. We'd foot the bill ourselves, and if we were forced to justify our position, we would then incur legal costs to help us do so.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chair, these examples are just the start of a laundry list of issues that small businesses like Littleton Coin are facing. John's testimony clearly shows that Congress needs to provide immediate relief to small businesses. I have three more areas that I would ask Mr. Hennessy about if I have time or if we have a second round. I don't know right now, Mr. Chair, if there's anybody else waiting for questions or if I could proceed with a couple of more to Mr. Hennessy.
Senator Hassan, thank you. We are trying to determine if any colleagues are coming, but we're going to officially start the second round, and I think it's appropriate you start it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Mr. Hennessy, I want to continue down this line of questioning. We've gone through the ways in which the Supreme Court's decision has resulted in significant costs for Littleton Coin. So in this round, I'd like to hear from you about ways that out-of-state governments are overreaching to try to squeeze tax revenue out of small businesses. Along with Senator Wyden, I've introduced legislation to prevent out-of-state governments from retroactively requiring small businesses to collect taxes. In your testimony, you talked about how Littleton Coin has been forced to actually pay retroactive taxes out of its own pocket, with no avenue to dispute these requirements given the legal costs. Can you walk us through situations in which Littleton Coin has been forced to foot the bill itself for retroactive out-of-state taxes?
With the Wayfair decision providing no implementation period for our business, it took us 7 months to acquire the software, customize it, and institute the processes to collect sales tax. So we were on the hook during that period ourselves without the ability to collect and remit from our customers. We received 3 notices thus far where states have asked us to go back as far as 2018 to pay those taxes. And whether we legally owe or not, the cost to defend ourselves against those demands would far exceed the settlement that we've now decided to make in order to pay those taxes. So we've settled in total for $140,000 thus far.
Okay, thank you. That's really why we need to pass the legislation that Senator Wyden and I introduced to protect small businesses from being forced to pay out-of-state taxes in situations like that. Another question. Because of the Wayfair decision, Littleton Coin is now paying an additional $40,000 a year to out-of-state governments and miscellaneous new taxes. What are all the different kinds of taxes you're now having to pay, and how has the $40,000 lost every year affected your bottom line?
So since Wayfair, we've been notified by states we owe a variety of taxes, and they all go by various names, including franchise, business and occupation, commercial activity. So there are quite a few. In total, we're now paying the $40,000 per year. It directly reduces our profit. Those aren't taxes we collect and remit. Those come right out of our own funds and prevent us from spending that same money on growing our business and benefiting our employees, particularly as we're an employee-owned business. Right. Reduced profit does impact retirement accounts for employees.
Thank you. Last question for you this morning. You've recently received a notice from California claiming that because of Wayfair, Littleton Coin has to pay California state income taxes. What kinds of legal costs will you incur to work through this California notice and income tax notices from any other states?
For our business, legal costs to defend ourselves against a state like California could potentially be unlimited. We don't have a lawyer on staff. We're not a big enough company to have one, so we have to hire third-party counsel to help advise us and help us defend in these matters. We've already incurred costs just to research the letter that was sent to us related to income tax, as well as the federal law that we believe protects us from having to pay. But nonetheless, we have to continue to defend ourselves as long as the process takes, and should a state decide to take us all the way to court, those costs could be well over $100,000.
Well, thank you. John's testimony, Mr. Chair, makes it clear that there are many areas where we need to provide small businesses relief from the significant burdens imposed by the Supreme Court's Wayfair decision. businesses and individuals come to our state because we don't have a sales tax and we don't have an income tax. And to think that other states can now impose their tax structure on our state is particularly concerning. I'm very grateful for this hearing this morning.
Thank